Just like
That's
that.
correct.
Right.
But really, it is right along the gust front, as Mike mentioned. It is right along the leading edge of a squall line. It is significant. The winds can be very strong.
We have a great picture from Waltham.
There you go. But it is not. Now, when we the difference is there's something that's called a wall cloud, which this is not, and that can be associated with a tornado. But this is a shelf cloud. This is classic right along the leading edge of this gust front. You know, the temperature can drop literally 20 degrees in just seconds. As you get the tremendous downburst of cool air from above coming down, and right along the leading edge, you see that. And then, of course, it moves in, and you do get the heavy rain. You also can get a lot of lightning.
This is right over our heads right here, Harv.
Absolutely.
This is right above 128 here in Needham.
And this is what's happening. This is a classic squall line and gust front that's moving into the region, and as we've seen, there have been places where the winds have gusted to over 50 miles per hour, and that is enough to cause some damage, and that's why we're getting these reports here and there of downed trees and downed tree limbs and some pockets of damage due to the pockets of very strong winds along the gust front.
You also talked about the heavy rains, and I think we have some video coming to us from Lancaster where apparently it was literally raining like cats and dogs of just how this intense rain. This is what you're talking about. This is pretty bad.
Yeah, there you see it. And I mean, you see it's like sheets. It's coming down very hard. And on top of that, you have the wind blowing it horizontally. And actually, the winds, in many cases, are sometimes stronger just before this, or before and during this period of time, when you get the first bout of very, very heavy rain. And then once the air is completely cooled down, it becomes a little more settled, and the rain just kind of falls straight down, and then it moves through.
I've noticed that from Boston north, it appears that the squall line has lost a bit of its intensity because the color is more green than yellow or orange. I hate to keep it in layman's terms, but that's what it looks like to me.
That's one possibility, but there is another thing. You know, our radar, which we're using, is in Hopkinton. And what happens is it's actually when the echoes get very, very close to the radar site, that's where there's something that we call a cone of silence, meaning right around that area, it's actually a little bit harder to detect. And so it may give the impression that it's a little bit lighter. But in reality, if I can show you something that I'm going to punch up here on our other graphic system.
Harvey, we just got a report from Weather Watcher in Revere said he had wind gusts over 60 miles an hour.
And there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So well, what happens is a lot of times the rain is actually hitting the radar dome itself, and the radar can't get that signal out quite as well. So you'll tend to get a little, it'll show up less intense at that very moment. Once it passes beyond Hopkinton, then we'll be able to do it. But that's also why we have all of our other radars available to us. So Harvey, for example, if you look at his radar,
if we
you can
switch
see
over to Weather
What are the wind speeds like for a hurricane? I mean, is that
it's anything
like
74 miles.
So we're going 60. That's pretty intense.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, sometimes, and we hope we don't have that in this case, sometimes along a squall line you could even get these microbursts, and those winds can be even stronger. So that's why we always talk about sometimes actually severe thunderstorms in some cases can actually cause more damage than the smallest and weakest type of a tornado. Not the type of tornado that came through western and central Massachusetts last week, because that was a major F3 tornado. But most of the tornadoes are F0, F1, and they're barely hurricane force winds. And if you get a strong microburst with one of these, where the winds really rush down from above and spread out when they hit the ground, they could actually be above hurricane force in gusts. In this case, most of them seem to be in the 50 to 60 and slightly higher, but that's very strong, obviously, and that's enough to do damage.
This is the live look at Boston. Yeah.
And I want to update the power outages now. We're going up quite a bit here. We're close to 32,000 people that are without power. National Grid reporting 16,000 plus homes without power out in Springfield and Longmeadow. Obviously, those folks, after what they've been through last week, this is the last thing that they need. Western Mass Electric, 15,000+ people without power. Nearly half of those outages, we're told, are in the Montauk, Deerfield, Southwick area. And no doubt, as these storms continue to move through and there are possibly trees down or power lines, those numbers could go up this evening as well.
That's Worcester, and you can see there's still raindrops on the lens, so obviously clearly it's still raining there. It's 5:24, guys. How long before this thing is through Boston? And it would appear that it's going to go over the Cape too, so it's still in Massachusetts.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, well, we're talking about the heart of it just approaching Boston. You know, when we saw the live shot of Boston, unlike Worcester, you saw the visibility is excellent, in spite of the fact that you have this shelf cloud coming across. the leading edge, the gust front, the air is cooled. It's wind is coming from the northwest. It's cooled the air. It actually feels great, except it's dangerous because the winds are so strong. Now, when the rain starts, that's going to cut the visibility down because the heavy rain is approaching Boston. Will be there momentarily, while the heavy rain will actually be ending in Worcester very soon, as they're in the back edge of the heavy part of it. Boston is close to the lead edge. You see the trees? You can see the wind gusts, okay, just as we mentioned, right along the wind gusts. And if you look off to the east, farthest part away from the screen here, the sky is still kind of blue, where it hasn't even, entered, just offshore. And that's another thing we want to mention, because for boating interests, this is extremely dangerous, because these squall lines have those very powerful winds, which really can, capsize boats and things like that. So people need to be aware and understand that squall lines are very dangerous, in the open water. So hopefully...
That was a flash of lightning. That was a very intense
you see the
flash of lightning.
Hopefully, boaters, if they were out, are aware of what's been taking place and come into shore before the storms strike. So there you see it. It's, again, as classic a squall line as you're going to see. It's moving right along, and just think about it. When we began talking about this, continuously, maybe hour and a half ago, just coming through the Berkshires and Springfield and from Worcester East, nothing. And now that area is getting light rain showers. It's all calm and settled. Of course, the damage, thank goodness nothing like last week, but still some damage is over there. But now, of course, it's moving right into Boston, and now the South Shore will be next. And that's how this moves along, very swiftly, 40 miles an hour, solid. And you can see when you get back toward places like Albany, New York, and beyond, I mean, it's completely over. But even where you see the green behind the yellow, orange, and red, that's lighter rain, and it's without the wind. It's not dangerous. It's all along the leading edge. That's where you have the strong wind gusts and all the lightning
I just want
the heavy rain.
Everybody knows that video you're looking at is a live shot of Needham. So that's where it is.
And
That's
we're actually
right
hearing
outside.
the thunder up above right now, Harvey. And I also, talking about being on the air for about the last hour or so, when we came into the studio, our thermometer indicating what the temperature was here outside, I thought was 86 or 89 degrees. It's now 76 degrees. So as this is moving through, we're talking, what, a 10, 15, 20 degree differential of temperature?
Absolutely. And now you can see, unlike where Boston's visibility was great, in the distance you're seeing the visibility obscured, because that's the heavy rain now that's in Needham and will be in Boston momentarily. And of course, it is coinciding.
You'll get the chance 1 to 2 inches per hour.
Now, social media is playing a big role in some of our biggest storms, and Mark's back with an updated forecast.
Don't miss Minuteman Harley-Davidson's Customer Appreciation Days this Saturday.
Now I'm thin and strong.